Welcome to ARW. I'm Harold, and what we're going to do here today is tie up some loose ends. You know, sometimes you do projects and they're really not as finished as they could be, or you know, you realized you did something wrong, you can improve on it. Well, that's that's where my loose ends come from. And I've got a couple of loose ends to straighten up today, and I don't know, one of them may even leave a loose end still hanging, but we'll see what we get done. We're gonna fix some stuff, and this is the day before garbage day, and I've got Daisy, and she leaves little gifts for me out in the backyard. So I went out there to pick them up and realized I'd already stepped on one. Anyway, let's get off to a better start. All right, so what we got here, this is a floating head on my CNC plasma torch. You see, it lifts up about a quarter inch. The idea here is that I've got this switch that when this piece comes down on the metal, when the tip of the torch will show on the metal, it'll sort of mash it down until this switch is triggered. Now we're going to know how far this has to travel to trigger that switch, and we're going to use that to set the torch height. So every time the torch makes a cut, it's going to go down, it's going to touch off on the metal plate, push down until it activates that switch, move itself back to the right distance from the plate. That's just in case your torch height control is not perfect, which mine's not. It can get wind up and run too close or too far in between cuts, and if you don't watch out, pretty soon it's out of control and you're running into things, you know, and that's no good. So what we're going to do, I need to know how far I move this switch before it toggles. I've made a 3D printed a bracket here that's got the little spring that goes up and pushes the switch, and all that's wonderful, but I don't yet know for sure how far the switch travels, and that's what I'm going to find out. So, after giving this quite a bit of thought in redneck terms, I've set this dial indicator here, turned the dial around where the zero will be sort of close to the needle, and I can compensate for however much it was off, and I'm going to shove it forward until it clicks, and then I'll know what I know. If you see what I'm saying. And I'm going to move the camera over on the other side so maybe you can watch the dial while I watch it. That might be nice. Now, I came to the unhappy realization that you can't have a good torch without a torch height control. It just didn't happen. So let's see what we get here. I'm going to push it forward. Well, I didn't catch it. It all happened too fast. And that's not, I'm going to have to put a clamp on here. Okay, we're going to try that one more time. Well, probably a lot of more times. Now I figure that at about 43 thousandths. Let's try it again. Yeah, it's about 43 to 44. We'll give her one more try just for grins. Yeah, 43 to 44 thousandths. So I know that's the travel on that spring there. That'll help me. I can set that in the post setup on the sheet cam, and it'll tell it that when you see that switch, you're 40 thousandths off the end of the plate. Whatever, you know what I mean. And that's for fact. Now, when I came up with this idea of a CNC plasma torch, I thought, well, now that's a simple, cheap project to play with for CNC. So let's get on with it. You know, it ought to be wonderful. And I could have never been more wrong. It's a project that to get something really good is going to cost you a minimum of $2,000 built into yourself, and probably 5 to 7 or more thousand if you buy it. But I started off not realizing I had to have a torch height control, and then when I realized I did, the good ones were in the $1,000 range. And I found this one that I've got on there now in the $200 range, so I got it. But sometimes it gets a little carried away, you know. And then I'd also bought one of those combination torch and welding machine and TIG things, and it really didn't run consistently and have a lot of power. And I decided right off that was a waste of money, so that was $500 down the drain. The fact of the matter is, you need a really good plasma torch, one of them that starts about $1,500, you know. So this thing has cost me an enormous amount of money, and I didn't even need to flame cut anything. That's redneck logic for you. I just started being an easy project, and then you got more and more and more money every time I turned around. And now it's like my pink elephant. The best kind of touch off is the ohmic type, but that's not what I installed. But anyway, there's another loose end tied up. I've got the switch on it, and it's a good switch, much better than the last one I put on there. And I know how far it moves. That's a yellow birdhouse. There's not going to be any close-up shots because it's really, really bad carpentry, like maybe first grade kid. This is the pole my birdhouse was on, and this is another unfinished job. Now that I've got off the ladder and all that, and I'm going to try a different way of doing it. I'm going to rock this thing around in the ground and see if I can't get it to come out of there. It's in pretty good, but the ground's wet from all the rain we've had, and I think it's going to come out. I'll have to see if my neighbor's through using my auger. Go out here and bore a new hole. I hope he's still got it. It's one of the sins of loaning tools. We got it out. All right. Now all I gotta do is cut off this end and put another fitting on there and put another 1-inch pipe in it, and then come out here and stick it in the ground. That'd have been a smart way to go in the first place. But nobody accuses rednecks of being smart. Well, after about an hour of digging through the shelves at Home Depot, looking in all the bins, I finally found some good stuff. I've got to go and get something bigger pliers. All right, bigger pliers did the job, so you see you got to put this primer on there. That's what it says on the can, so you can get it nice and ready for sticking together. So we're going to do that. We're going to lay this out in it. Gets all over your fingers. Look at that, turning blue. All right, so I don't know if it's supposed to dry or not. It's good to know, isn't it? To know that I don't know. Well, let's just go with it. It's all going to be pushing downwards anyway. There. Now I can go outside where I've got the rest of the pipe and put all this stuff together. This is the conglomeration that I'm trying to replace. Now, we'll prime up these ends here. It should be pretty easy to do. Just like water. All right. We'll go prime the end of the pipe. Well, now for the good stuff. Here we are. Now then I've got to get this on the end of the long pipe. That won't be as easy as that. Well, and it might be, I don't know. Well, it turns out that videoing me sticking those two pieces of pipe together would have been a video moment, because it turned out to be kind of a Keystone Cops, Laurel and Hardy kind of thing. It was different. Say it like that. It was different. Well, it's not easy. Yeah. There's a hole. I hope the darn birds appreciate this. Oh, that's not good. It's got another foot to go in the ground. Yeah, it's going down now. All right, let's turn it like. I'd give them a little protection from the north wind. May have made it too tall. They've done a lot of things wrong. Well, I'll go get something to tamp the dirt down, and we'll call it done. I hope I didn't make that top piece too long. Oh well. Yeah, it looks a little precarious, but I'll try and straighten it up. It's going to work out. I have to admit, it looks pretty sad. But between now and the time the birds want to move in, I'll get some wires to string over the fence and stabilize it good, and it'll be straighter. The last piece of pipe I had there wasn't quite that long. I got carried away. All right, so there's another loose end tied up. Boudreaux's wife, Clotilde, was taking a bath there on a Friday evening, and she heard the knock on the door, so she jumps out of the tub, just stark naked there, and bounces down to the front door and says, "Who's there?" This voice on the other side says, "Blind man." She said, "What you say?" He said, "Blind man." So she thought about it a minute, and she thought, well, if he's blind, he can't see nothing no way, no need to go back and get me a bathrobe or nothing. So she pops up the door and says, "Well, what do you want?" He said, like I said, I'm the blind man. He said, "I'm here to install them blinds you bought at Home Depot."